right now, sitting in a curated GitHub repository, last updated on March 17th, 2026, by the way. There is this incredible list of over 600 specific open source projects.
And they are highly active, too.
Yeah, exactly. Highly active projects. And they all have one single goal, which is basically reading your digital notebook and just doing your work for you.
Right. We are way past just storing files or, writing simple to-do lists at this point.
Oh, totally. I mean, the sheer volume of this data points to something massive. We're essentially building synthetic brains.
We really are.
And honestly, the scariest part about this rapid evolution is that if you're listening right now, you might be using the entirely wrong software architecture to handle it.
Well, yeah, because the paradigm shift we're witnessing here is, it's unprecedented.
Right.
Moving from a static filing cabinet to an active, autonomous cognitive environment, it requires a complete reimagining of how we interact with information.
Absolutely. So, welcome to the deep dive. Today's mission is decoding the evolution of the modern digital workspace. We are taking a massive stack of sources today. We've got software documentation from Notion, Workflowy, Zapier, Approvident, Alteryx.
A lot of docs.
It is a ton of docs.
Yeah.
Plus community troubleshooting forums, YouTube tutorials, and of course that massive 2026 GitHub dataset we just mentioned.
Right, and our goal is to figure out how knowledge workers are actually transforming these basic digital notebooks into fully automated AI-powered command centers.
Exactly. Because whether you are listening to this to prep for a major corporate infrastructure project,
or just trying to cure your own personal information overload.
Right. The goal today is to extract the exact tools and the mental models you need to make your tech work for you and not the other way around.
Which is how it usually feels, right? So to do that, we're tracing the lineage of this technology. We'll connect the disparate updates across all these platforms.
From the very simple stuff to the crazy AI stuff.
Exactly. From the intentional constraints of simple list making, through the friction of complex API calls, all the way to that agentic AI frontier.
So we can paint one cohesive picture of how work actually gets done today. Because before we can build these complex automated systems, we really have to understand how we organize raw thought.
Right. You have to start at the foundation.
Exactly. So let's unpack the minimalist foundation first. We are looking at a tool called Workflowy.
Yeah, and Workflowy is honestly the perfect starting point because it forces us to look at the anatomy of an idea.
Okay, break that down for me.
So the documentation describes it as a Zen-like bullet point list.
Zen-like. I like that.
Yep, right. But just calling it a list kind of misses the underlying architecture. It's actually an infinitely zoomable hierarchy. Infinite. It operates on this principle that every single thought is just a node connected to a parent thought and a child thought.
Okay, the way I kind of conceptualize this, and tell me if this makes sense, it's like a digital set of Russian nesting dolls.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. But the catch is, you only ever see the specific doll you are currently holding. So, if you create a bullet point labeled Q3 marketing strategy, you can nest a bullet inside it for social media. And inside that, video scripts. And the moment you click on video scripts, the rest of the workspace completely vanishes.
Just disappears.
Your entire screen, your entire focus becomes just that one micro-level task.
And what makes that architecture so powerful is actually what Workflowy deliberately chooses to leave out.
Right, the constraints.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The platform completely lacks rich text formatting.
None at all.
None. You cannot spend your morning choosing between serif and sans serif fonts. You can't try to drag and drop a complex multimedia grid into perfect alignment.
Which I am definitely guilty of doing.
We all are, but here you are relying entirely on those nested hierarchies and a very functional hashtag tagging system to connect ideas across the different nesting dolls.
But okay, let me push back on that for a second.
Sure.
Because I look at that and I think about how incredibly visually driven our culture is today. I mean, we communicate in screenshots, video clips, color-coded charts.
Oh, absolutely.
So by stripping all of that away, isn't a plain text bulleted list artificially restricting how a modern knowledge worker actually processes information?
It sounds like it, but what's fascinating here is that the restriction is the feature.
Really?
Yeah. Constraints actually breed creativity by reducing cognitive fatigue.
Oh, I see.
When you remove all the aesthetic choices, the fonts, the colors, the layouts, the tool forces, relational hierarchical thinking rather than visual thinking.
Meaning you can't just make it look pretty to hide a bad idea.
Exactly. You cannot hide a poorly structured argument behind a beautiful design in Workflowy. You are forced to ensure that point B logically flows from point A.
That makes total sense. It prevents you from getting paralyzed by the blank page.
Because the structure itself demands prioritization.
And looking at their recent 2025 and 2026 updates, it's wild how they are holding remarkably firm to that core philosophy, even as they add new capabilities.
Right, they aren't cluttering it up.
No. Like, for instance, they added this email to workflowy feature.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
You just pipe a thought directly from your inbox into your list without ever even opening the app interface. But the update that really stands out to me is their new OCR functionality.
The optical character recognition.
Yes, extracting text directly from images.
And their implementation of OCR is such a fascinating behavioral bridge.
How so?
Well, think about it. You can snap a photo of a messy physical whiteboard after a chaotic meeting, right?
Oh, I know those meetings well.
Exactly. And the system extracts that text and translates it instantly into those searchable, nested bullet points.
Wow.
So they are bridging the physical workspace and the digital workspace, but forcing the physical chaos to conform to their strict digital hierarchy.
That is so smart. And they also maintain a really specific approach to collaboration, too.
Right, it's very unique.
Like when you share a list with someone, it doesn't send them an email with a link to a separate document. It literally embeds that shared list directly into their own personal workflowy account.
With that special blue aura.
Yes. Highlighted with this special blue aura.
Yeah.
And the documentation notes, this is a deliberate design choice they've maintained since, 2012.
Which is ancient in tech years.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And it updates in near real time, effectively creating this shared brain between two people without adding any new UI clutter.
It is incredibly seamless. Though, that intentional minimalism does come with an operational ceiling for free users.
Right. The paywall.
Yeah. The free tier limits you to 250 bullet points a month.
Which sounds like a lot until you actually use it.
Exactly. In a state of deep flow, if you're outlining a big project, a user can burn through 250 nodes in a single afternoon.
Very clever psychological strategy. I like that. Because once you rely on that relational structure, hitting the limit forces you to upgrade to the pro version. Which is what, $4.99 a month?
Yep, $4.99 a month to take the training wheels off.
Right. But as beautiful as that minimalist constraint is, there really is a breaking point.
Absolutely.
Workflowy is perfect for structuring logic. But the moment you have to manage a team's actual visual assets, like, say you need to see a design mock-up directly next to your text, that pure text hierarchy just shatters.
It breaks down completely.
And that exact friction is what birthed the entirely opposite philosophy. So we move from the minimalist constraint of workflowy to the maximalist universe of Notion.
And Notion is the exact opposite. Its foundational architecture assumes that context is everything.
Right. Everything all at once.
Yeah. Workflowy strips away the surrounding noise so you can focus on one isolated thought. Notion wants to bring every single piece of surrounding noise into one unified, highly structured room.
It's an embedded universe.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
Building a Notion workspace is, to me, akin to engineering a highly customized airplane cockpit.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, because every single instrument dial, radar screen, and radio frequency you need for a specific flight is mounted on one screen right in front of you. And based on their technical documentation, Notion achieves this through a service called iframe,
Yes.
which allows users to embed live content from over 1,900 different web domains. I mean, we are talking about fully interactive Figma design mockups, Miro brainstorming boards, Zoom meeting links, Google Drive directories, all living directly inside the page.
The scope of those embeds is massive, but Notion's true operational power really relies on how it handles structured data.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So using the /database command, literally typing /database users are not just creating static tables.
They aren't just spreadsheets.
No, not at all. They are spinning up dynamic relational data sources that can be linked and viewed from anywhere in the workspace.
We actually reviewed a really detailed YouTube tutorial that illustrates this mechanism perfectly.
Right, the Kanban board one.
Yes. You can link to a master database of tasks, but you display it purely as a visual Kanban board on one page and then as a chronological calendar on another page.
And they are all pulling from the same raw data.
Exactly. The tutorial specifically emphasized deleting default views to aggressively reduce clutter, which is a big tip.
Huge tip.
And you also see these highly intentional design choices in how information is actually displayed. If you drop a URL into Notion, you can choose to render it as this massive web bookmark with a visual preview.
Right, with the image and metadata.
Yeah. Or you can render it as a super subtle inline link mention that just flows seamlessly inside a sentence.
The level of customization is staggering, which honestly frequently leads to a critique of the platform.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if the goal is to reduce digital chaos, pulling in 1,900 different external apps and layering multiple relational databases on a single page, isn't that just recreating the exact overwhelming clutter we were trying to escape?
It can definitely feel that way.
It feels like trying to clean your house by dragging everything from the garage into the living room.
That is exactly what it looks like at first glance.
So how does creating a dashboard with 50 different embedded windows actually improve human productivity?
Well, the underlying psychological mechanism solving that chaos is the elimination of context switching.
Context switching. Okay, break that down.
Neurologically, every time a human being switches between distinct visual environments, say, clicking from a Notion project plan over to a separate browser tab holding a Google Sheet,
Right.
and then over to a desktop application for a Figma file, there is a massive cognitive penalty.
You lose your train of thought.
Exactly. The brain burns energy reorienting to the new interface, the new menus, the new spatial layout.
Oh, wow.
By bringing all those databases and embeds into one customized view, the user completely bypasses that penalty. They retain their flow.
So you're paying a high upfront cost in setup time to build the cockpit. But once you're flying, you never have to turn your head away from the windshield.
Exactly. Stay in the zone.
That makes a lot of sense. But, viewing all this data on a gorgeous unified dashboard is only half the battle. A static dashboard is ultimately useless if the data doesn't move. We need to transition from how these platforms look to how they actually communicate with each other.
Because that's where the real magic happens.
Exactly. And historically, making Notion databases talk to external software was a massive system-breaking headache.
Oh, it was brutal. The friction here really revolved around third-party automation.
Right.
For years, the industry standard for connecting disparate apps has been Zapier. It's an absolute behemoth in the space.
Yeah, the docs say they boast over 8,000 supported applications and 25 million users.
Huge. But when users tried to automate workflows involving Notion's most powerful feature, its relational databases, Zapier's native integration failed.
Just flat out didn't work.
No, it could not natively update Notion relation properties.
And to put that in perspective for anyone listening, relations are the entire backbone of a complex workspace.
They are everything.
It is how you link a specific entry in your client's database to a specific entry in your invoices database. If Zapier can't connect those two items, the whole concept of an automated workflow collapses.
Completely. And because of that, the community was forced to rely on an incredibly brittle workaround.
Yeah, this was heavily popularized by a Notion expert named William Nutt, right?
Yes, William Nutt. And this workaround basically circumvented the user-friendly interface entirely.
Which defeats the purpose of no-code.
Exactly. It required using a feature called Code by Zapier to write and execute a custom JavaScript PTCH request.
A PTCH request.
Yes. And the script had to be manually authenticated using an internal integration token that you had to generate deep within Notion's developer settings.
So users were essentially forced to write raw back-end server code inside a no-code automation tool just to tell one database to acknowledge another database.
It was a nightmare. We dug into the community troubleshooting forums, and it was literally a graveyard of broken workflows.
Yeah, we saw users like Aurora and Flow Movement spending hours, just hours, battling microscopic syntax errors.
And there was that notoriously common issue surrounding the bearer token authentication.
Oh, the bearer token. Explain why that was such a disaster.
Well, in coding, a PTCH request is used to apply partial modifications to a resource. It tells the server, don't replace this whole page, just update this one specific field. But to do that, the server needs mathematical proof you have permission to make the change. That is the bearer token. If a user accidentally added a single extra space or missed a capitalization in that token string, the server would instantly reject the request with a completely cryptic error code.
So one wrong keystroke and the entire automated company infrastructure comes to a grinding halt.
Yep, people were pulling their hair out over a spacebar.
That is wild. But this massive friction point was finally resolved in late 2024.
Thankfully.
We looked at a technical breakdown video by Dimitri Panici, which highlighted a fundamental shift in Notion's backend architecture.
The native webhooks.
Yes, the introduction of native webhooks and interactive buttons. Here is where it gets really interesting. Why does an instant webhook matter so much more to the user than Zapier's standard polling?
Because webhooks fundamentally altered the physics of the workspace. Previously, Zapier relied on that polling system.
And the best way I can understand polling is, well, imagine sitting in the back seat of a car on a road trip, right?
Okay.
And you're asking the driver, are we there yet? Every 15 minutes.
Yes, that is exactly what polling is.
Zapier would literally ask Notion, did anything change? If the answer was no, it went back to sleep for another 15 minutes.
Which means if you clicked a button to send a client an invoice, you had to wait up to a quarter of an hour for the database to actually confirm the action.
That is agonizing. In a fast-paced environment, that waiting period forces you to keep an open mental loop. You lose all your momentum because you can't trust that the system actually worked until you check back later.
But a webhook changes the dynamic entirely. Instead of asking, are we there yet? A webhook is the driver promising to tap you on the shoulder the exact millisecond you cross the state line.
It's instant.
It is event-driven. The moment a user clicks a native Notion button, the webhook pushes the data payload out instantly.
And Panishi's video demonstrated the sheer power of this. You click one button inside a Notion project page, and the webhook instantly generates, sends, or even voids an invoice via Stripe or PayPal.
Instantly.
Click another button, and it instantly assigns a sequential chain of subtasks for a content calendar across multiple team members' dashboards.
The workspace is no longer just a place where you log information after the fact.
Right.
It becomes an interactive, real-time software application where you execute actions.
Which is amazing. But, that instantaneous execution empowers an individual creator immensely. The moment you apply that exact same real-time automation to a 500-person enterprise, though.
You introduce a catastrophic level of risk.
Exactly. Clicking a button to automate a single personal invoice is a fun productivity hack. Clicking a button that automatically routes 10,000 sensitive client records across 5 different departments without any human oversight. That is a disaster waiting to happen.
It's terrifying. The speed of webhooks basically forces us to confront enterprise-grade governance.
Right. Scaling automation requires a deliberate shift from prioritizing speed to prioritizing safety.
Because automation without governance just means a company can make catastrophic mistakes at the speed of light.
The speed of light. We looked at a platform called Erokhane to understand how the enterprise sector handles this. Interestingly, they actually still utilize Zapier.
They do, but they deploy it to trigger what they call human-in-the-loop workflows.
Okay, human in the loop. How does that work?
So imagine a sales representative changes a CRM deal to a closed-won stage.
Okay.
The automation does not just instantly execute the final action of generating the contract and emailing the client. Instead, it pauses the workflow and sends a secure approval request to a regional manager.
So the machine does all the heavy lifting of gathering the data, formatting the contract, routing the request.
Exactly, but the workflow physically cannot proceed until the manager authenticates the action.
The human retains the ultimate authority.
Always. And we see this exact same philosophy of enforced friction in massive data analytics platforms like Alteryx.
Oh man, looking at the Alteryx server API v3 documentation is literally like looking at the blueprints for a bank vault.
It is incredibly strict.
They manage workflow automation using these incredibly rich parameters. You cannot just let a script run wild on the server.
They enforce specific execution modes. They categorize them as safe, semi-safe, and standard.
These modes basically act as blast doors. Right?
Exactly. A safe execution mode physically prevents an automated workflow from writing over critical databases or accessing external web drives.
Wow.
It ensures that a faulty script cannot corrupt the underlying company data. Furthermore, Alteryx requires highly specific credential IDs for every automated action.
Meaning the server needs to verify the exact identity and permission level of the user who originally authorized the automation.
Right, even if that user is currently offline.
And they also have these specialized commands for handling the actual packaging of these automations, which they call YXZP workflow packages.
Yeah, the YXZP files.
And the documentation highlights a very specific parameter called the bypass workflow version check.
Right, bypass workflow version check.
What does that actually do?
Well, enterprise server environments are notoriously messy. They are constantly undergoing updates.
Oh, sure. IT is always changing something.
Exactly. So if an IT department updates the main server, older automated workflows will usually crash because the software versions no longer match.
They just break.
Yep. So this bypass command acts as a universal translator. It allows an older workflow package to securely execute on a newer server environment without breaking the entire chain.
That is brilliant. And if you are listening to this right now and you run a small, like 3-person agency, you might think enterprise execution modes and version checks don't apply to you.
But they do. The underlying principle applies to everyone.
Exactly. Building intentional friction and credential checks into your automated systems is crucial. Assigning proper permission levels in your own Notion workspace today prevents you or your team from accidentally deleting an entire client database with one misplaced click.
Because if we aren't giving machines the keys to the car, we really have to install the safety harnesses.
Well said. We have engineered these systems to gather data perfectly, link it instantly, and pause for our permission. But at the end of the day, the human is still the one defining the rules.
Right. The system relies entirely on rigid. If A happens, then do B logic.
Which brings us to the final evolution of the digital workspace occurring right now. We are moving beyond rules-based automation.
We are entering the agentic frontier.
We are giving the workspace a brain.
The transition from automation to agency, it's huge.
And this connects directly back to that massive March 2026 GitHub repository we discussed at the very beginning of the deep dive.
The one with the 600 projects.
Yes. The open source development world is obsessively focused on artificial intelligence and machine learning projects right now. But the recurring foundational theme across hundreds of these repositories is a technology called MCP.
The Model Context Protocol.
Yes, MCP. Explain why this is such a game changer.
So MCP is basically the missing bridge between artificial intelligence and your private data.
Okay.
Traditionally, a large language model like ChatGPT existed in a vacuum. It possessed vast general knowledge from its training data, but it was completely blind to your specific company manual.
Or your meeting notes or your task list.
Exactly, it couldn't see your workspace. The Model Context Protocol solves this by standardizing how AI models securely access those external data sources.
And the official Notion developer documentation now actively highlights Notion MCP.
It's not just theory anymore.
No, this isn't just an abstract concept. It is an active API designed to connect your customized Notion workspace directly to AI agents like ChatGPT, Claude, and specialized coding environments like Cursor.
Because the AI can now perceive the context of your databases, we move away from those rigid Zapier triggers we talked about.
Right.
MCP enables what we call agentic workflows.
And an agentic workflow is totally dynamic. Instead of writing a script that says, when a new email arrives, copy the text to this specific table.
Which is the old way.
Right. Now, you are essentially hiring a digital chief of staff. The AI can autonomously read a completely disorganized brain dump of meeting notes, decide which parts belong in the marketing database versus the engineering database, format the data correctly, and write it into those nested hierarchies entirely in the background.
It is structuring the logic for you.
But, and here's the pushback, this introduces a massive psychological friction point. If the AI is the one organizing our databases, fetching our notes, and synthesizing our daily summaries, do we lose touch with our own knowledge? Are we essentially outsourcing our cognitive capacity to a machine?
That raises such an important question. The psychological concept here is cognitive offloading, and it is honestly the defining existential shift of our era.
Cognitive offloading.
Yeah. Historically, humanity has always offloaded memory. We offloaded oral history to written scrolls, then filing cabinets, and eventually to searchable digital databases. The fear of losing touch with our knowledge is not a new fear.
But a filing cabinet doesn't categorize the papers for you while you sleep. A database doesn't synthesize a summary of its own content.
It's true.
These MCP-powered systems are active synthetic collaborators. They are literally doing the structuring of the thinking.
They are, but the counter-argument to that fear is elevation.
Elevation.
Yes. Think about it. The human being no longer has to spend 2 hours a day meticulously tagging notes, organizing nested folders, writing JavaScript PAT-CH requests.
Lighting with bearer tokens.
Exactly. If you don't have to manually link relational databases, all of that cognitive energy is liberated.
Ah, I see.
The machine handles the database maintenance. The human is freed up to focus entirely on deep strategy, complex problem solving, and nuanced creativity. You transition from being a data entry clerk to becoming the executive director of your own information environment.
The executive director of your information. That is a staggering redefinition of what it means to work.
It really is.
Let's take a breath and just recap the incredible journey we've mapped out today.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We really have. We started by looking at how raw thought is organized through the intentional Zen-like minimalism of Workflowy's infinite bullet points.
Proving that stripping away visual context forces deep relational thinking.
Right. Then we explored the exact opposite approach with the maximalist all-in-one dashboards of Notion, swallowing our entire digital lives into one unified view to eliminate the cognitive drain of context switching.
Then we analyzed the immense friction of making those databases talk.
Suffering through the duct tape era of Zapier syntax errors, only to be saved by the blazing, real-time execution of native webhooks.
And we learned how enterprise tools like Approve-It and Alteryx enforce strict governance and execution modes to keep those high-speed automations from causing catastrophic damage.
And finally, we arrived at the wild new frontier of AI agents operating autonomously via the Model Context Protocol, fundamentally shifting the human role from data manager to executive director.
It is a comprehensive picture of how our cognitive environments are engineered today.
And for you listening right now, the most vital takeaway from this entire deep dive is this. You do not need to implement every single layer of this architecture today.
Please don't.
Seriously, please do not go try to build an AI agent-powered, enterprise-grade webhook dashboard this afternoon.
You will drive yourself crazy.
You will. The goal is pinpointing your own friction. Identify your single biggest bottleneck right now. Where are you losing the most momentum in your day? Apply just the right layer of this tech stack to fix that one specific problem and let the system evolve from there.
Exactly. Build a foundation first and let the complexity scale naturally alongside your needs.
But before we sign off, I want to leave you with a lingering thought based on the trajectory of this technology.
Okay, let's hear it.
We spent the first half of this deep dive talking about the friction of visual interfaces. We discussed the transition from minimalist lists to highly complex, visually stunning digital dashboards built with Notion embeds and customized database views. But if AI agents utilizing the Model Context Protocol become perfectly capable of reading, structuring, linking, and updating all of our information automatically in the background, will those beautifully customized visual interfaces eventually become completely obsolete?
Oh, wow.
Will the future of work simply be a continuous, screenless conversation with an invisible agent who manages the databases we never actually see?
A completely invisible workspace. That is a profound question to consider.
It really makes you wonder what we're building all these dashboards for. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.